From absolutely insane casino destructions to megastructure takedowns to infrastructure obliterations that'll blow your mind. Today we're looking at the craziest demolitions ever. Let's start in Germany with the demolition of the Bonn Center in 2017, which looked like an optical illusion come to life. Editor, roll me another angle. Now that's what I'm talking about. After this behemoth business center fell into disrepair, its fate was sealed. Demolishing it took over 550 pounds of explosives, blowing it to scraps in seconds. We'll learn how exactly these mega-structure-killing explosives work, and just how scarily precise they have to be later. But for now, we go to May 2025, when hundreds of New Jerseyans gathered one sunny morning to watch the historic Sheraton Crossroads Hotel get demolished. The hotel was 22 stories and made of glass and steel, and watching every individual window gradually shatter is the most satisfying thing. Have another angle on the house. Loving the crowd's enthusiasm, and if you like to know why they're spraying it down with liquids like that, well, just stay tuned. Right now, though, it's time to behold some truly awe-inspiring obliteration. And it doesn't get much better than the West Burton Power Station in Lincolnshire, England. The boiler house was the biggest structure on the site, with a volume of just over 27 million cubic feet, aka the volume of 3 Madison Square Gardens, and in January 2026, it was flattened. If the sheer appearance of that demolition wasn't cool enough, the site is being used to house a prototype nuclear fusion power plant. Powerful stuff across the board. I gotta see that one more time. Let's blast into destruction on a truly major scale now, with this crazy power plant demolition in San Diego. The fact that this thing didn't even collapse entirely goes to show the insane strength of all that steel. Sticking with mind-blowing power station demolitions, you see this big guy here? This is a smokestack at the Homer City Power Plant in Pennsylvania. At 1,200 feet tall, that's one of the tallest in the United States. And in March 2025, it came down, alongside its gargantuan siblings.
There's one! Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Oh, it's halved off. Oh, wow.
That towards us?
But no power plant pulverization comes close to the demolition of the Savannah River Site Cooling Tower in 2010. The fact something this size can disappear within just seconds is insane. This tower was originally built in 1992 at the cost of $90 million, but was never used for its fully intended purpose, so it ended up being demolished not even 20 years later due to an American cost-saving initiative to get rid of disused infrastructure. At the time of demolishing, it was a total chungus at 345 feet wide and 450 feet tall, and required 1,300 pounds of explosives laid out tactically to ensure the tower crumbled in the right direction, and it went off without a hitch.
Nice.
Arguably the craziest building demolitions of all time have taken place in Las Vegas. When they need to tear down a hotel, they do it with all the extravagance the city is defined by. To kick things off, when the Landmark Hotel was brought down in 1995, its front fell off. Is this a palace? Nope. It's just the Aladdin Hotel and Casino, which in 1998 came toppling down. It was demolished in a move by Las Vegas officials to clear up the city's reputation, and in its place, a soup kitchen would be erected instead. Just kidding, it's now Planet Hollywood Hotel and Casino. The Castaways Hotel implosion was another spectacular affair, with the iconic letters topping the hotel themselves being cast away one by one. If you're wondering what I mean by implosion, don't worry, we'll get to that shortly. But for now, more implosions! The Frontier Hotel and Casino's demolition was even more explosively spectacular. One of the craziest Vegas hotel demolitions ever has to be the Stardust, where fireworks were set off inside the building, leading into the real explosives taking the thing down. The destruction of the Dunes Hotel was arguably even more awe-inspiring, utilizing insanely fiery pyrotechnics to mark the event. Setting the place alight and blowing it up? Oh, hell yeah. Suitably excessive for the site that would go on to be home to the iconic Bellagio. The demolition of the Tropicana Hotel in 2024 presented a distinctly more modern spin on the idea, with an incredible fleet of drones to simulate a detonator and countdown. Awesome. Meanwhile, this next Vegas demolition didn't exactly go to plan. Prior to its demolition, the Clarion Hotel had gone by many names, and in 2015 it was renamed one final time, the Pile of Rubble. No rubble except for that stubborn elevator shaft. Don't worry about that. We can always call in the wrecking ball crew. Ah, so satisfying.
Smashy, smashy.
Germany's AFE Tower came crashing down in February 2014, and with buildings surrounding it, it was tense. Woo! This disused university building actually holds the record for the tallest European building to be demolished with explosives at a whopping 381 feet tall, taller than Lady Liberty. To bring down this Goliath required 2,100 pounds of explosives called nitropenta, which is one of the most powerful explosives around. Even more powerful than TNT. And notice how the building perfectly came straight down? That's not accidental. That's by design. See, in cases like the AFE Tower, where the building is surrounded by other buildings, operatives will implode it. A term used in this context to describe collapsing the building down onto its own footprint so that it doesn't damage anything around it. This is done by strategically loading explosives on several different levels in the building at their various support structures and detonating them in succession, so the building falls down vertically under the immense force of its own gravity. As you can imagine, something this intricate and high risk requires such skill that only a few companies in the world will attempt it, and it can take up to 6 months of preparation, even if the implosion itself only lasts a few seconds. To think, I used to do my math homework in the morning it was due. Imploding a building onto its own footprint requires a lot of skill and intricacy, but in every demolisher's dream, there's a parking lot or other open waste space right beside it to collapse the building onto. In those cases, a demolition only needs explosives loaded on the foundations of the building in the same direction the building is planned to fall, like these smokestacks in San Juan County, New Mexico, which took more of a faceplant stance.
Fire in the hole!
But nothing takes the satisfying demolition cake like the Sir John Carling building in Ontario, which took 800 pounds of explosives and fell like an accordion. The way an 11-story building can just vanish in under 10 seconds is crazy. Now check out this record-breaking demolition across the sea in Nottingham, England, which put the cool into cooling tower. This is Cottam Power Station, which earned a Guinness World Record in August 2025 for the largest cooling tower collapse ever. To prepare, workers drilled thousands of narrow boreholes into the concrete across the structure, which were crammed with nitroglycerin-based explosives. Those explosives usually consist of a putty-like material contained within cylinders, like dynamite, combined with an attached blasting cap. This cap sets off the explosion once the connected detonated lead line reaches it. As for the lead line, this is typically a long length of plastic cord with a core of explosive powder. And once the detonator is set off, it carries a shockwave all along its length, and zip bang boom, the traveling blast triggers the explosives, causing massive damage. Pretty neat, huh? You can even see the ghosts of towers past leaving here. And what happens when you take down a 90-year-old vacant office building in the middle of a city skirted by large buildings on both sides? Well, in the case of Thomas Building in Dallas, it just gets demolished right where it is. It really feels like it shouldn't work that smoothly, doesn't it? The workers in the building behind be like, Now, typically, when buildings set to be demolished are tightly packed in amongst other buildings like this, checks are carried out in the neighboring structures to assess their stability. If they're looking a little fragile, then temporary supports like braces can be put in place. Or fragile contents like windows may be removed. Alternatively, the owners of those buildings can file big fat lawsuits against the demolition companies if anything goes awry. Win-win, I guess? But it's not just buildings that get demolished. Bridges take a tumble too. When I say I'm burning bridges, this is what I mean. Here's how crazy that looks down at the base of the structure. Dang, I felt like I was about to be crushed there. Now check out this ultra-precise bridge demolition from May 2025, when an old bridge in China's Jiangxi province was demolished, just 10 feet away from the new bridge. That was a close one, and probably a shock for the fish in the river. But still not as shocking of a close call as what this crane driver encountered, who was mere feet away from becoming dust. Editor, hit that replay. Thankfully, no one was injured as a result of this demolition gone sideways, but I can't say the same for that house. Take a look at how this 230-foot-tall wind turbine was brought down in Magdeburg, Germany, in a pretty terrifyingly explosive manner. Whoa, holy moly, editor, you gotta roll that one back for a sec. Sorry, I had to. Over in Ohio, the Fort Steuben Bridge demolition wins the prize for best spectacle.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for.
Slow-mo replay on that. So cool. The bridge was nearly 1,600 feet long and was demolished in 2012 due to deterioration and instability. I say it worked better as a firework than a bridge anyhow. Similarly, in 2010, the Texas stadium that had once housed the Dallas Cowboys for 38 years was demolished with a series of rigged explosives that set off one at a time. That stadium came crashing down like fans' hopes of the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl, or even making the Super Bowl. On the bright side, it looks even cooler sped up. Now check out this 20-story takedown in Duisburg, Germany. This apartment was known as a white giant, but this demolition is proof that even giants can be brought to their knees. Like this 170-foot shopping center in Recklinghausen. If you're wondering what the hoses are spraying water for, well, it's to minimize the amount of dust from the blasted buildings spreading out into the air, as inhaling ground-up concrete and stone can be seriously dangerous. It can also pose a threat to machinery, contaminate water, and damage crops. A blast of water clumps the dust together, bringing it to the ground and preventing the mass extinction of any nearby asthmatics.
Ooh, bless your little asthmatic heart.
In 2011, the 17-story Glencairn Tower block in Motherwell, Scotland, was demolished using 200 pounds of explosives. The explosive topple as it fell truly is a sight to behold. Must have been a shock for those birds. Motherwell is also home to this epic triple topple in 2025. These three 20-story towers used to be residential blocks, but their demolition paved the way for new and improved housing to be built. That incredible footage may be rivaled by this. Watch how the 80,000 capacity Georgia Dome Stadium collapses within seconds.
I like how everyone's all quiet, so we won't be able to hear.
Some people are still driving over that bridge over there.
Any second now.
Although I think they just got it down to one lane of
Looks like the stadium roof came with its own parachute built in. Most felled buildings are demolished because they're out of use and set to be replaced. So when the 220-foot-tall Tower Hotel in Solingen was demolished in 2011, you can satisfyingly see all the abandoned empty floors through the windows as it falls. And another angle. That's the good stuff. Now take a gander at this giant grain silo demolished in 2021 after it was irreparably dented by strong winds. Huh, who knew you could poke over a silo? Take a look at the slaying of the last of the White Giants, aka a series of ugly apartment blocks in Kamp-Lintfort, Germany. Probably for the best. During construction of the Grumpental Bridge in Germany, 8 temporary auxiliary pillars were erected to help build the arch, ranging from 60 to 260 feet tall. Then, once the arch was done, it was bye-bye pillars, thanks to over 200 pounds of explosives. Destruction for construction. Well, that's new. Now take a look at Texas's Landmark Tower, which was brought to the ground with over 350 pounds of explosives back in 2006. Whoa! Instant dust storm. At the time, this was the tallest building ever intentionally demolished, standing 382 feet tall with 33 stories. But 2006 was so long ago, people were basically still making cave paintings. And since then, plenty of even taller buildings have been brought down. Like Abu Dhabi's Mina Plaza, which had its staggering 50 stories demolished in 2020, as part of a major redevelopment project. presently holds a Guinness World Record for tallest building to be demolished using explosives, as 13,000 pounds of explosives had to be used to collapse the 535-foot tower to the ground. Bad time to realize you left your car keys in your apartment. Let's return to Scotland, where they love demolition. These 4 apartment blocks came tumbling down in Dundee back in 2011. This guy was filming from right next door. Jeez. Imagine waking up late and not knowing that was about to happen. Now feast your eyes on the Eggborough Power Station demolition in Yorkshire, England, which saw the spectacular collapse of the boiler house and chimney in 2018. And that, my friends, is what it looks like when you explode the base out of 50,000 tons of steel and 20,000 tons of concrete. The Capital One Tower in Louisiana was a 22-story skyscraper that had been severely damaged by hurricanes in 2020 and abandoned since then. So, in 2024, it was time for that sucker to come down, 22 stories in all. All those glittering panels of glass are pretty mesmerizing to watch disintegrate, right? It's even crazier in reverse. Now check out this 50-foot tall chimney chop, disappearing in a shower of red bricks. On a similarly cylindrical note, here's how you dismantle a transmission tower. Transmission tower? I barely know her. Sorry.
I don't know what that was, I don't.
This imposing building may look like a supervillain lair, but it's actually the Martin Tower in Pennsylvania. At 332 feet, it was the tallest tower in its home city of Bethlehem. But in 2001, its main occupants, Bethlehem Steel, went bankrupt. 18 years later, the Martin Tower finally came down. Forget Bethlehem Steel. This building collapsed like Bethlehem paper. And while we're on the topic of tall towers, check out the tallest towers to ever be demolished in India. These 300-foot tall behemoths were the Noida Supertech Towers. But despite their sky-high stature, they actually violated a bunch of health codes and fire safety regulations. So in 2022, the Noida became Voida. I wonder if all that destruction dust was health code compliant. Now take a look at all this sinister plant demolition, which is so booming that nearby residents reported their houses shaking. I wouldn't be surprised if the dudes in the cherry picker were shaking too after that. Meanwhile, this coal mine head frame in Hamm, Germany just kind of rolled. No, it's like someone kicked a robot in the leg. Old people can sneeze too hard and dislocate a hip. But in 2009, it required over 20,000 pounds of explosives to take down this nursing home. Dang, that explosion was louder than my grandpa sneezing. Check out this crazy demolition of a block of apartments in Glasgow. This blasted building was one of 8 tower blocks that made up the Red Road Flats, which was once the tallest residential buildings in Europe. But as the years went by, these prized apartments grew derelict, and what was once iconic became eyesore. The first demolition happened in 2012, requiring a quarter-ton of explosives to flatten the 292-foot tower. And by 2015, the remaining 7 had been felled as well. I'd be incredibly nervous if I lived in one of those houses. Similarly, this German power plant got satisfyingly slashed in stages. Pretty crazy how the cooling tower literally shakes the ground. Now let's travel to Houston, Texas, baby, for the demolition of the Prudential building in 2012. In less than 10 seconds, this 20-story, 60-year-old building went from relic to rubble, and the crowd cheered like it owed them money. In June 2008, it was a bad day for shopaholics across Germany when the Karstadt department store building in Essen was flattened. And just in case you thought that was the last of it, similarly, this clothing factory in the Czech Republic was deemed out of fashion and demolished in 2014. And this is the mess that was left over. Ooh, that's going to be a pain to clear up. Typically, demolition sites can take 2 to 3 weeks to completely clear for bigger buildings like that granddaddy, requiring the materials to be extracted, sorted by type, and hauled away, usually via a team of excavators and trucks. The debris in the demolition up next, however, took much longer than a couple weeks to clean up. In Midland, Texas, the Western Life building stood tall for nearly 80 years before its annihilation in 2023 due to structural instability. And oh, what a satisfying collapse it was. That building crumpled like cardboard. I uncovered downtown Midland in a desert-like dust for the remainder of the day. The cleanup of this bad boy took almost 2 months, but they needn't have rushed, seeing as nothing's been developed there in the years since. This old concrete mixing plant got demolished in November 2019 with a spectacular landing. And from another angle, the roof said sayonara. This synchronous smokestack smash is just so satisfying.
enough to make a grown man cry.
Now, here's one for anyone who's ever thought, hey, I wonder what'd happen if I took out the leg of that water tower over there.
Oh, it's not taking long. There it goes. There it goes.
A little disappointed the top didn't explode with water, but hey, I'll take it. Here's something I bet you've never seen or heard before. This is what happens when 430 feet tall lattice masts are freed from their wires, allowing gravity to take its course. Timber! This Albany, New York hotel's collapse was a lot less elegant and went down like, well, a sack of bricks. Red brick dust.
Don't breathe this.
In a truly demolition-worthy disaster, Texas's Ocean Tower was nicknamed the Leaning Tower of South Padre Island after the foundation sunk more than a foot into the sand. While builders hoped for this tower to be a 31-story condo, it actually ended up being blasted to 31 feet of rubble. Huh, that's gonna be the most authentic holy moly I've ever heard. For this coal mine, operatives decided to kill two birds with one stone, or rather, two coal mine buildings with one blast. Cameraman there was definitely left looking like Wile E. Coyote. Now check out this super weird and oddly satisfying demolition of a grain silo in 2015. That silo looked like it was taking an escalator down to the ground.
Why take the stairs when I could take the escalator?
The war on fossil fuels and push towards renewable energy has meant the decommissioning of a bunch of power plants across the world, and the Helene Amalie power plant in Essen, Germany was no different. But at least we got a satisfying demolition video out of it. Man, those explosions never get old. This next building actually held an auction for who got to push the demolition button, with the winning bid being $15,000. I mean, who would spend that much money on a demolition? Okay, never mind. I get it now. And with the click of this button, over 40 years of history in this Orlando, Florida hotel was erased within seconds. Is it crazy to anyone else how quickly these buildings just disappear? What do you think, construction guy blocking the view? This water tower blast was so perfectly planned, they even shaved a snug little outline shape into the crops. Oh, perfect fit. This next clip is like the silo equivalent of putting rubber bands around a watermelon to see when it explodes.
That's the last rubber band I had.
In this case, gradually, the excavator snaps all the wires around the silo until poke! It's just going down. I'm yelling, bricks! And check out this building bulldoze in Belfast, which looks like the demolition equivalent of a Mexican wave.
There goes, look.
Hey, Josh.
Oh, Josh approves. This Atlanta building should be nicknamed Atlantis for how quickly it disappears into the ground. Man, I'm never tired of watching office blocks shudder down like that, nor will I tire of the onlookers' reactions. Moving on, this gas container demolition from 2015 perfectly shows how steel bends under its own weight during a demolition. Anyone else think that there's an alternative angle that looks kind of like a giant monster falling over?
I curse you, Demolition Man.
And when they say life is a highway, my highway looks like this. That white flag sign didn't want to go anywhere, did it? Now take a look at this 75-unit block of apartments in France that vanished in seconds. Au revoir, I guess. And how about this crazy bridge blast?
Wow.
Now that's bridgin' sick. Why are explosions just so fun? What's not fun is hurricanes. After the Armed Forces Retirement Home in Mississippi was ravaged by Hurricane Katrina in 2005, it was demolished in order to rebuild. Hopefully any flashback-prone veterans cleared the area before the explosion started. And look at the place now. You gotta glow down to glow up, or whatever it was that Socrates said. Check out this sweet synchronized double tower takedown. That's the twin Brayton Point cooling towers in Massachusetts, saying goodbye forever in glorious motion. Let's keep it rolling with another pair of twins, this time in Jacksonville, Florida. This mega blast utilized 1,500 pounds of dynamite, and the implosion and cleanup altogether cost $14.5 million. Yikes. This decommissioned power plant chimney was so tall at 720 feet, it needed explosives rigged at multiple points to flatten it completely. This multi-pointed blast broke up the chimney into more manageable chunks, meaning that the operators didn't have to clear 720 feet of space if it had fallen in one piece. In January of 2012, the ConAgra grain mill in Ohio was demolished, collapsing like a house of cards. And look how close some of the workers were. These guys should not be so chill after a building literally just exploded a few dozen feet away from them. Watch this old Kodak building in New York vanish quicker than a Polaroid can print. Booyah indeed, guy with the megaphone. This bridge blast in Aachen, Germany was too much for the camera. And here's a bonus angle on the camera woman. Check out the demolition of this 1,500-ton coal washing plant in Dorsten, Germany. Looks like there was still a bit of soot in there. Similarly, this 9,000-ton coal silo was blasted into the ground just a few hours away in Dortmund. The top held together pretty well, right until the end there. Moving along, this 2012 demolition of Radio Network House in New Zealand features one of the most comically inaccurate hot takes ever caught on tape.
Fuck. Well, it's not falling down. Whoa! Jesus Christ!
Actually, lady, I think it just might be falling down. In 2019, crowds gathered to watch the last segment of the Tappan Zee Bridge in New York get blasted into the Hudson River, and they were treated to this peculiar scene. The perfectly timed simultaneous blasts resulted in a truly surreal sight, an enormous bridge falling perfectly horizontal. Ah, relaxing rainy afternoon in Germany. Oh, uh-oh. Wow, that must have been some heavy rain, huh? Well, at least this German bridge looks nice and sturdy. Oh. Bad time for Grandma to be taking her morning stroll. By contrast, here's an American bridge blast, which of course necessitates more explosions and close-ups. And of course, some Michael Bay-style slow-mo. This is America. And now let's take a look at the golden oldie who was peacefully put to rest. 15 years after it's closed its doors, Michigan's mighty Marysville power plant got demolished in 2015. This plant was 93 years old when it got blasted, so at least it lived a long and happy life before it was returned to the dust from whence it came. If you like this video, check out our other video on when demolitions go badly wrong. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.